Hi, I'm Paul with Escape into Film, and today we're going to be talking about the 2011 film Contagion. Now, in the last few movie reviews, I've actually reviewed movies that were newer, films that were new in theaters, new on streaming, or new on movie channels. We're going to kind of change things up here, and I think one of the things I want to do with this channel in general is also review films that maybe came out in the past. Films that are new on streaming platforms that, gems that you shouldn't overlook, and maybe movies like this, which are unfortunately found a new popularity due to some very timely events. And the reason, unfortunately, that it has found a resurgence of popularity is due to real life kind of imitating art. The fact that the film opens with just a cough. Well, a cough is something that is, you would hear it in the background, you wouldn't think anything of it on a normal day. In this film, it becomes very chilling. And that's actually kind of the strength of the film. It weaponizes totally mundane, everyday things that we would totally normally overlook. But there are whole scenes that are very simple, but they're so intense and they're so chilling. There's one really great scene where Gwyneth Paltrow's character is sitting at an airport bar and she's talking on the phone with somebody. She hangs up and she's casually eating peanuts out of one of those little communal bowls at a bar. And then when it's time to settle up her tab, she takes her credit card out of her purse. She hands it to the bartender. The bartender takes her credit card and then touches the touch screen. Now, normally, if you saw that on a script, you would say, why is all that there? That just feels very much like dead space. Like there's nothing happening. There's no character development. There's no plot development. It's just kind of things happening. But Contagion takes these completely routine movements and turns them, warps them, subverts the everyday into the origins of a disaster film. And I will admit, when I saw this film way back in 2011, it fundamentally changed a very part of my life. It's a movie I think about quite often. It's a movie that has actually changed the way I kind of do things. I try not to touch my face at all, ever. I don't care if I'm sick. I don't care if other people around me are sick. I don't care if it's flu season. I don't care if it's summer. The way the film treats touching your face, you might as well just put your face directly on a doorknob or elevator button or handrail. This film was so effective that it affected a long-term change in the way just I live my daily life. Now, the first character we meet is Gwyneth Paltrow's character, Beth. You do not expect her character to die within the first 10 minutes. And honestly, that's one of the strongest ways this movie could have possibly opened, because you do not expect Gwyneth Paltrow to die in the first few minutes. You don't expect her child to die in the very next scene. So when the movie is bold enough to kill off Gwyneth Paltrow and her young child within the first 12 minutes or so of the movie, it calibrates the audience to set their expectations that no one is safe. This virus is a relentless killer and indiscriminate. Everybody's fair game. One of the more brilliant aspects of the film is the fact that it takes super dry information and really communicates it in a very entertaining, grim, and thrilling manner. A lot of this information you can learn from any Department of Health website or any video tutorial about viruses and how to not get sick during flu season. But the reason why this film has credibility with audiences is it takes very pertinent information that maybe everyone should know and delivers it in a super entertaining manner. That way you're watching a movie that is itself entertaining and you're getting a little bit of information out of it. This very easily could have been a documentary where Soderbergh could have easily just taken the H1N1 outbreak or the SARS epidemic and just said, hey, here's what happened and here's how people could have saved themselves. You would get the same basic premise, same basic information about the origins of a virus or the dangers or how it spreads, but it wouldn't be delivered in this fictional story. And then the benefit of a fictional story is you get to develop characters who the audience connects with. On the surface, Contagion is about a viral outbreak, but just below that, you get to see that there's an anxiety about how fragile everything is around us and how easily everything can be completely upended. A good chunk of this movie really deals with the bureaucracy of how governments are able or maybe ill-equipped to deal with mass disasters. And that's really what this movie is. It's a disaster movie. It doesn't have to have explosions or earthquakes. This is a viral disaster that affects the entire globe. The most effective movies are the ones that are packaged in this high concept premise, but they have the core of something that we're all kind of, that we can relate to and maybe even a little bit worried about. Take, for example, the 1954 Godzilla. The Japanese people had just been devastated by the nuclear bomb, so it only makes sense that just a decade later they would make a film that kind of really relates to their anxieties about all the unknowns of nuclear power and the bomb. And even the 2017 Shin Godzilla wasn't just a monster movie, it was more about how the government just wasn't able and prepared to deal with a mass disaster. And that film really dealt with the daunting bureaucracy that tied up the government as it tried to recover from the 2011 earthquake and tsunami that devastated Japan. So in really bad science fiction, there's a cure, a magical elixir that somebody has or somebody can easily make that is replicated and easily distributed, thus solving the problem. Contagion says, hey, that's based in zero reality because it takes a while just to figure out how to make a cure. And then once you know what the cure is, it takes even longer just to make it. And that's assuming you have a government that even knows that it is combating a virus. So this film really is a critique of the inadequacies of a centralized government trying to deal with something that it never dealt with before and maybe isn't equipped to deal with at the moment. While the film does feature scenes of just general social collapse, the really chilling part of the movie is the fact that most of it only takes place within a few weeks. The very beginning of the movie only takes place a few days before Thanksgiving, and well into the third act, we're still pretty close to Christmas. Just stepping back a little bit more, we get to see a different type of virus movie. In really bad virus movies, everybody gets it, and anybody who gets it instantly dies. Well, this is a movie that's, more reflective of reality. It upfront asserts that not everybody on the planet will get that. And even if it doesn't infect everyone, then it says, okay, it's only going to wipe out, 10, 20, 30% of the people. When we think of a virus movie, especially something that's kind of cartoonish and fictional, you would kind of want to see a hyperbolic version of it. Like, oh, this thing kills 100% of the people it touches. That's why that Dustin Hoffman film Outbreak is such an exaggeration. It's just a very misrepresentative case of what viruses are, because everybody in that movie who gets in contact with the virus just instantly melts. Contagion is confident enough to say, hey, look, we have a killer virus that's not going to affect everyone, and even of the people it infects, 3 out of 4 people will survive. And even then, that's a small percentage of people it does kill relative to most other virus movies, and that's still enough to show how completely easy it is to disturb and upend and completely bring us to the very brink of societal collapse. We live in a society where I can jump on a plane and in 6 hours I can be in New York. In 10 hours I can be in Tokyo, and in a few other 16 hours I can be in Rio de Janeiro. Now more than ever, humanity is connected in a way that has never been connected before. And I think any historian will tell you that this is the best time to be alive because you have the least likely chance of dying a horrible death relative to every other period of history before now. Even in our daily certainty that life is really good right now, we don't want to admit that it's also very fragile and it can be very easily disturbed. Contagion really shows us that society is built on kind of an unspoken agreement that we will all be civil to each other because there are rules. But once those rules are disturbed even slightly, fear, panic, uncertainty will force a lot of us, if not all of us, to act in a way where self-preservation is the main motivator. So I personally resist the idea that people are just gravitating towards something like Contagion just because it's a fun virus movie. It's a well thought out movie. It's a smart movie, and it taps into our awareness that all this can come down. It's a house of cards. It doesn't have to collapse for all of us to realize that this is all very tenuous at best. So I might caution anyone who wants to learn how to not get sick by watching Contagion. I would direct them to a whole lot of other information. And generally speaking, I don't know that I would recommend to watch such a distressing film that is very, very timely, unfortunately, because it's a little bit too close to home right now. But if for a moment we're going to strip away all the news context, and I thought, how would I review this film if I were to review it as I saw it back in 2011? I guess my final score would be 4.5 out of 5. It works on a lot of different levels. It's intense, it's terrifying, it's smart, and it moves despite having a bunch of unrelated plot lines and a lot of different characters who never interact. And yet it tells one story about fear consuming the planet and how these people react to it. So if you've seen Contagion, tell me what you thought about it in the comment section. And if you're into film reviews like this, current films and older ones, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video review, please go ahead and hit the like button. Again, this is a newer channel, so the likes really help out right now. You can read all of my full-length film reviews at escapeinthefilm.com. Those generally tend to be newer films, although I think I'm going to go ahead and start adding some of these older film reviews just because they're fun to kind of look back at movies I haven't seen in a long time. And you can follow me on Twitter at escapeinthefilm. At the end of the day, I'm here to just kind of get a discourse, get a discussion going about films. I'm not here to beat you over the head and tell you that I am right. I'm just here to state my case. I really love to talk to people about films, about the films that they like. Even if we disagree, I especially like it when we disagree, because if we all felt the same way, what would be the point? So I urge everyone to see every film of every type. I guess even the ones that are a little bit too scary because they're a little bit too timely. So thank you very much for watching, and talk to you soon. Bye.